is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Make Money and Have Fun show. Today, I have one of my favorite people. He was actually probably one of my first mentors that kind of came about a little serendipitously, which I'm actually surprised I pronounced that correctly, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Remember, if you're here, there's a couple ways that you can interact. In a few minutes, I'm going to be bringing on Brian Meara, talking about real estate, talking about entrepreneurship, and just seeing where it goes. And the really cool thing about this platform is that you all actually have the opportunity to interact with us. So if you want to ask us questions, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, wherever you're live streaming us from, if you put your comments in the comments section, I can actually bring your comment right up on screen, just like it shows here. So ask your questions down in the comments. Let us know. Another really cool thing you can do is you can actually text in your comments. So if you see the little text number right there down below, you can text me. I'll ask your questions right on screen, and we'll get it going. But on that note, I want to introduce everybody to Mr. Brian Meara. So Brian Meara is CEO and founder of the investor Entourage. He got his start in real estate as an agent in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania back in 2007. Quite a time to get started in the real estate industry, for those of you that remember. Interestingly enough, he never sees the houses that he buys, nor does he meet the seller. He never talks to the bank, and he lives in the mountains of northern Italy 1 month every quarter, or 25% of the year, which I think he's actually upgraded that a little bit to living there almost 6 months out of the year, and he's still never given me an invite up there. I can't believe this guy, but he's got some really cool credentials here. I just want to list some of them off here. He's a former restaurateur, fired from every single one of the 28 jobs he's ever held. He's a former paper boy, former altar boy, I hope not at the same time. He also achieved his black belt in Korean karate, Tang Soo Do, at the age of 13. He's fluent in Italian, a terminal cancer survivor, father of 5 boys, including triplets. And most recently, he went from fat and almost dead just before his 40th birthday to ripped with a 6-pack in less than 60 days. He found a few simple secrets and tricks that changed it all almost overnight. Now he's spreading true wisdom in a very unique and direct way. So please help me welcome Mr. Brian Meara. What's going on, Brian?
Intro, Fred. Quite your intro, man. How are you?
Not bad. You kind of prompted me a little bit when you sent me your bio. So
yeah, it helped. Yeah. I do have to update that. So we actually just got back. We were at my home in Italy all summer, so we were there for 3 months.
Wow.
And when those triplets, the older guys, graduate high school this coming June, so in 8 months or so, we're actually moving there permanently. So I'm going to take a permanent residence there and kind of just come back here, to visit family, holidays, things like that. So, the younger guys, the 2 younger children that we have, we're going to enroll them in school actually in January. So that come next September, man, they can start there. So pretty exciting.
That's awesome. I guess everybody speaks Italian then, pretty much?
In Italy, yeah, pretty much, yeah. No, yeah, the whole family, yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's funny, man. So Brian, I always, and we're already getting some hearts and some likes in here. So apparently people either like you or they like me.
I don't know. Either way, it's good, man. Yeah.
I want to start off. I ask all of my guests the same exact question to start this off, and you're free to answer this however you'd like. Although I will say we do have a half-hour time limit, just because I feel like that's all people's attention can handle.
Yep.
But what is your story?
It's you know what, man? The fastest way to tell you is that I grew up getting bullied. I used to get my ass kicked all the time, lived in a tough area, and just one day start fighting back. And so my parents, didn't have a whole lot of money. They enrolled me at the YMCA to learn some self-defense. And, I really took to it at a young age. I think it was about 7. And then I, went to a more professional school, so to speak, more of a actual training school, karate, right? Karate kid in the 80s, right? No MMA back then or anything.
Of course.
And, I always share that story when people ask me that question, because I kind of started with a rough, beginning. Just had a lot of problems, whether there were, family issues in the neighborhood. And then, got through high school somehow, some way. I don't really know how, but I was actually expelled, and then I got back in, and that's a whole nother story. But, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And it really kind of pushed me in the face to realize that life is short, and I got to really decide what I'm going to do. I mean, I just enrolled in a local community college because not really know what I'm going to do. So guess what? I went for business, right? Whatever that means.
Sure.
And after my first semester, I got sick. And literally for a year of my life, I fought for my life. I was in the hospital the majority of the time through all the numerous operations, chemotherapy, et cetera. And, I'm here. I made it, obviously, thanks to God. But, after that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just started working. I just started just taking sales jobs, right? I mean, I sold everything from cell phones in the late 90s to cars, became a loan officer in the late 90s also. So I kind of got started in real estate in the late 90s, technically, with being a loan officer, mortgage guy. And started an IT staffing firm, bro. I've done a lot. Most of the businesses that I've started have failed. And then after my divorce in 2006, 7, I, as you mentioned, went into real estate, started as an agent, and then I immediately got thrown into the world of short sales because the market crashed. And instead of like exiting the game like a lot of people did, I decided to jump in 100%. You know what I mean? Sure. And started investing, and then that created a course. And next thing I knew, I was doing coaching and mentoring, and closed over 1,000 deals and became the little micro guru on the scene. And then I started opening up local training academies where we met a few years back, 2016, 15, I believe. And, ever since then, I'm not doing anything in the education space. I'm not doing anything with, trainings. I just invest for myself, man. I kind of went back to my roots. I'm still doing short sales. I do other deals too, working on some deals with my brother, who's a contractor, and working on some international projects. I'm actually involved in some international development projects over in Italy, which was great. Right. Firmed that up this summer. And other things too, bro. I've gotten into everything from foreign exchange trading to capital raises for an energy project in South America. So, the whole rebranding of myself, which I did, I guess, about a year or so ago, was the virtual entrepreneur. Just showing people that I do have 7 streams of income currently, and I can do every one of them, with this phone. So I think that's what people need and want. And especially, I kind of rebranded myself as this virtual entrepreneur, not just the real estate guy, but I have all these other companies. And this was pre-COVID, right? This was before everybody figured out the hard way that you can work from home. You can work a business remotely, even your job virtually, right? Didn't really have a choice the last few months. And so I think a lot more people's eyes have been open to the fact that, maybe I should do something else. And it's been a fun ride, dude. It's been a great ride,
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And that's part of the reason why I made this show the way that it is. So it's like, even if you were in Italy, you could be here with me still. Because originally I was like, maybe I'll make a studio. And then I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what am I going to do? Fly people in from across the country to cut? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so, it's really cool that we're afforded the opportunity today to allow that kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, so there's so many avenues that we could go down right now. I mean, it's such a cool journey. I always resonated with your story a bit because it's kind of similar to mine. I never fit in school. I was, not physically bullied as much as it sounds like you were, but definitely verbally bullied. Always had that little bit of social awkwardness, and found solace in a sense through karate as well. I trained martial arts since I was 7 years old. And that's actually what I was doing right before I met you. I was teaching karate classes 6 days a week. And I feel like it shares a lot of parallels with the entrepreneurship world. I always tell my story as personal development led me to entrepreneurship. And I feel like karate classes are really just personal development classes shrouded in kicks and punches. Would you kind of say the same in that regard?
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, the whole Napoleon Hill quote. But it's so true, and it's not cliche. If I wasn't bullied, if I didn't get my ass kicked the way I did, I wouldn't have gotten into martial arts. And what martial arts taught me more than anything was mental discipline. Yeah. It wasn't so much about the physical. I was a chubby fat kid. I didn't lose any weight. But learning the discipline, little things, and I'm sure you could relate to this, and maybe some of the people watching this, like being in the city of Trenton, going to this karate school, the only white guy, they're all black guys, Spanish guys there. Like, I was the minority. It taught me how to relate to the different people. It taught me how to blend in and it opened my eyes. I'm talking as a kid, man. And it really, when you're the minority and it flips the script, if you will, you really learn how to relate to other people. You really kind of get to see a different angle. So that was awesome that I went through that. And I remember being in class. It was a busted up place, in the hood. And there's obviously no air condition, and just sitting there and having to hold like a form, right? A stance, and feeling the sweat dripping down my face. And I wanted nothing more than just to wipe my forehead. And one time I did it, and the instructor, came from behind me and cracked me in the back of the leg with that stick. It was that bamboo type stick. I forget what
it's like a kendo stick or something.
Yeah. And basically the concept was, I was like 9 or 10 years old. mean, he didn't beat me, but he cracked me pretty good to the point where, hey, get your mind straight, man. Ignore it, or a fly comes by and lands on your head. Ignore it. Learning how to push past the pain, push past the distractions. And, when I got cancer and I went through those horrific surgeries and chemotherapy and lost all my hair, the mental discipline that I learned as a child, once again, thanks to the neighborhood I grew up in, helped me to get through it, man. It helped me to get through it because I'd already trained my mind to overcome pretty much about anything,
Yeah, absolutely. That's always what I like in my story too, which most of my story, and I want to get into the investor entourage
Sure.
in a minute, because that's really where we met. But I basically built up an entire real estate, small empire at early 20s, 22, 23 years old. And I quickly found myself over leveraged and frankly underwater, just with no money, no credit, no cash cushion, no nothing to fall back on. And, tenants taking me to court and everything just blowing up around me. It was, Murphy's Law, where it's like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Well, the problem with my Murphy's Law was that everything that could go wrong went wrong in like a 3-month period of time.
Yeah. and how it works.
Yeah. And I saw it all crashing down. The heat didn't work in the building. The roof was leaking. The tenants were mad at me. I was going to it was just like everything all at once. And I had no money to back this up on. Yeah. But the one thing that I did have was internal fortitude. And, I say that not to brag, but it really, in our situation, it's like we had a mindset, like a trial by fire kind of mindset, forged in fire from an early age, where it's like, I didn't even really consider giving up as an option. I just kind of untangled my spaghetti mess, found some people to support me and get me through it, and really just made it happen. Similar to I don't want to relate it to cancer. I can't relate.
No, of course. But you're right, though. Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like you said, that's the entrepreneurial journey. Napoleon Hill talks about it in his book, the greatest book ever written of all time, in my opinion, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. Which is that idea that, your greatest victory is only.
I have my 17-year-old son reading that right now, and he's like dissecting. He's got his little, 3x5 index cards, right? Yeah, it's awesome, dude. So he's loving it.
That's amazing. I read that book at least once a year, and every time I read it, it's a different book, which is the most amazing part.
No doubt.
But, I feel like that's the road of entrepreneurship. And the really funny thing is, I kind of started my entrepreneurship journey with you. So kind of walk us through what happened with that. You were running the investor entourage. You had this giant hair at the time.
Yeah.
And you were doing your thing. So how did that kind of come to be?
You know what, man? It reached a point where, like I said, I created the course Flip Free Profits with my partner, Jeff Watson, and we launched that, I believe it was 2012. 2013, we did a reboot of that at 2.0 because some laws had changed, et cetera.
Right.
And then from that point, for the next 3 years till about 2015, I was just heavily engaged in the promotion of real estate courses, of course, mine being one, other people's courses.
Sure.
I kind of got wrapped up into the whole, like I said, the whole guru thing, meaning, I had a coaching program. I've coached over 400 people in real estate, and I charged them for it. That was what I did full time. But it was taken away from my ability to invest myself. When you become a full-time coach, now it's like, okay, I went from having 100 deals in the pipeline to 80 to 60 to 40. It was like, I got 2 deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really the path I wanted to go. So I'm starting to think, man, how can I kind of rebrand myself? We decided not to make a 3.0 and continue with the marketing, of course, because the market changed. A lot of equity started coming back, so there wasn't as big of a demand for short sales. I mean, they're never going to go away, but it didn't have that huge nationwide demand that it did back in the day. So I didn't know what I was going to do, man. I didn't know. And it all kind of came about really funny because I wanted to rebrand myself. The branding, they say always do something wacky or weird or something that people will remember. So I was the short sales stallion, as arrogant as stupid as it is. There it is. And I laugh about it to this day. I still got some business cards in the drawer, but people remember that name. And that was the idea in marketing, right? So who am I going to be? Who am I? Those deep soul searching questions, like what now? And I came up with the name Investor Entourage. And I like that idea. And I've never even seen the show, by the way, but the kind of word, an entourage, it's like a whole group of people pulling together. We're all investors. Of course, at the time, it was primarily geared towards real estate.
Right.
I came across the education company that I was marketing for a while. And I said, this is cool because I don't have to continue to create my own education. I can market their education, form a community or communities around it, and everybody can do real estate deals together. And that was kind of how the whole concept started. And I did that for what? Just 3 years, almost 3 years.
About that.
And yeah, man. And then it was just time to move on from there. And I still kind of carried the branding of the Investor Entourage, but have since kind of rebranded again, as I mentioned earlier. Now I'm the virtual entrepreneur because, again, it's not, yes, I'm still doing real estate. People ask me that all the time. I have 4 deals running right now, 3 in the pipeline, but I'm very selected. You know, like before, my claim to fame was always having 100 deals in the pipeline,
right?
You know, closing 5-10 deals a month. But I'm more selective now. And I guess as I've gotten older and wiser, I'm really looking for targeted deals. I turn down most of the deals that come across my desk. I don't market for deals. They just come to me because of the network I've built over all these years. And again, the majority of them I turn down. But the ones that look really good, I mean, if it's not at least a 50,000 plus spread on paper with the analysis, I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
It's actually a better way to live because I'm actually spending less time to make more money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's definitely a shift in mindset with that. And yeah, man, it's been going great, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm reading through, again, for the second time, the 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, in Paris. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal book. I mean, I'm getting completely hooked on it. It's funny because you read a book once, like the first time I read Think and Grow Rich, I'm like, it was good, but whatever. Second time I read it, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's happening with this book. And one of my favorite things that Tim Ferriss brings up is the fact that, like, if you're making less money but have more time available to you, that money is actually worth more than making a lot more money with no time available.
Right.
And so that's really what it seems like. And I could be wrong, but you know, your new branding now is the virtual entrepreneur. And it seems to me like, Brian, you're more focused on getting your time back.
Yeah.
With everything that you're doing. Would you say that that's kind of accurate?
Oh man, it's all about time. And you know, it's funny. I'm 45. Next Tuesday I'll be 46 years old. And you would think almost losing my life, you know, at 18 years old, I would have had a different perspective. And I did for a while. Somewhere along the way, I kind of lost it. Sometimes, you know, I don't want to say I forgot I was sick, but I forgot the lessons I learned when I was sick. And so I did get wrapped up into the pursuit of material things. And, you know, I moved out of New Jersey over to Pennsylvania, and then I got a little house, and then that wasn't good. So I had to have a custom built, you know, $1 million home. And then I had to keep upgrading the cars and the Mercedes and the Hummers and the Maseratis. And I acquiring all this material things, realizing that it's only forcing me to work harder to now pay for these things, causing more stress. And it was last summer, not the one that just passed, so maybe 15, 16 months ago, I was in Italy. I had an epiphany. I had an absolute life-changing epiphany, meaning it just hit me one day up there in the mountains all by myself. And I realized, what am I doing it all for? What is it all for? Because at the end of the day, I don't care about these material things. You know, it's funny, Fred, people hear, oh, you have this home in Italy. And I don't know what they picture in their mind. Like I had this multi-million-dollar villa or something.
Right.
It's more of up in the mountains, you know, a lot of people have family and they like different levels and all. So it's more of like a floor. It's a condo, I guess you could say.
Right.
Bedroom, kitchen, bath, nothing special, but it's mine and I own it. The car, I have this Nissan X-Trail. You know, I have the Escalade here, the Maserati. I have a $20,000 X-Trail Nissan. I have a motorcycle that's a Yamaha. I think it's a 1997 that I paid $1,000 for. Wow. I went there that summer and I forgot a suitcase. Don't ask me how. I forgot a suitcase. So I tell you that because I basically had one suitcase of clothes for the whole summer, and it was just a bunch of sweatpants and tank tops and things like that. And I realized, like, I've never been happier. And I don't need anything else. Like, it's not about this material pursuit. And I made that decision back then, and I've been working really hard these last 15, 16 months so that when I do move to Italy in June, it's a different life and creating true wealth with passive investments, passive streams of income that, you're right, don't require my time, because my whole quest, my vision at this point is to reclaim my life and be completely free. My target is to have that done, you know, in the next 48 months at the worst by 50. I think it'll be sooner with the different things I have in motion. And hopefully, bro, just live those next 30, 40 years being a free man and enjoying my family, you know? That's the plan.
I love that. That's absolutely amazing. Damien said, my son owns part of a bedroom in Vallata, Avellino, Italy.
That's awesome. I've never been there. I've heard about Avellino. I actually have some friends from there, believe it or not.
I'm curious.
It's a different culture too, man. I have to say, like, the town where my wife is from, where we do have our home, it's more of a blue collar town. It's a touristy town because, of course, they have the ski mountains and all. And actually, they're holding the 2026 Winter Olympics there. So what I'm really excited about, I was talking about some development projects, is doing multifamilies, possibly even a hotel. Believe it or not, not just myself, but being a part owner of a hotel project. Sure. And so, because obviously there's a lot of money coming in from the IOC, the European Union, to prepare for the Olympics. And so my point being, it's a very blue collar town, and they don't have a whole lot when it comes to that. But you know what? It's kind of like old school America to me, Fred. When you can get chickens from the backyard because there's chickens in your backyard, and the guy up the street has a dairy farm, you can get fresh milk. And it's a better way to live, man. And it's like, I'll be moving there at 46 years old, but I wish I was moving there at 26 years old. So what I'm trying to teach my sons, specifically the triplets, that'll be 18, believe it or not, next month, is a few things. Number one, about my epiphany, and stop chasing the material success, because at the end of the day, it means nothing. Because guess what? You could have a multi-million-dollar home, a yacht, this, that, the other, Rolex. But if you get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, you're going to lose your life. None of it matters, And fortunately, most people won't have to go through that. But the reality is, that's the truth, man. So it was always about time. It was always about quality of life and being able to go where you want, do what you want. Now, that being said, that does require a certain amount of money. And so what I'm doing as a virtual entrepreneur is exploring everything from network marketing. People are like, oh, you got one of them pyramids? Like, yeah, I did, because it made sense and I've done extremely well. I would never even look at a multi-level marketing company before, but I have a different mindset now. You know what I mean? And so being able to teach people and show people, hey, here's my 7 streams of income. Can we work together with one of them, 2 of them? I don't know. So working with people in that capacity is what I've really been focused on, both here and overseas, by the way.
Absolutely.
And let's just say it's very rewarding, Fred. It's awesome. I'm in a very good place.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was a transformation that I saw in you, both physically and mentally, from the time I met you to today, right? Yeah. When I met you, all your hair was black, first of all.
It was, yeah.
And
it wasn't. That was called Just for Men. I used to color it, just so you know. Okay.
Oh man, and really, I felt like when I first met you, I felt like you were a bit of a workaholic.
I was.
You were just always on the go, and it was funny because the community that we got wrapped up in has a lot of politics behind it, and I don't want to get caught in the weeds of that, but you know firsthand.
Right.
And after you left and basically went on your own, you kind of went rogue and ghosted all of us in a polite and respectful entrepreneurial way. People came to me and they're like, oh, I'm going to rebuild this the way that Brian built it. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how much work Brian really put into this. And I love that we're here, that we're on the Make Money and Have Fun show.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people, they're like, what does that mean? What is that all about? Make money and have fun. It's become kind of like my branding, my mantra, my tagline. And I always tell people the same thing. It's like, we all know somebody who's making ridiculously good money, but they can't find their happiness. They can't seem to find that thing that's making them really happy. And as respectfully as I can, I feel like that was the place that you were in when 100%. I first met you.
100%. And you know what? Working those long days, getting up in the morning, preparing for the day, the workshops at night, the opportunity presentations, the weekend seminars, the marketing for those seminars. Are we collecting enough ticket sales to cover the lease on the build? Like, it was a grind. And then we opened up numerous locations, as you know, and it was like offshoots, right? The Philly one opened that you helped with, of course. And then there was the one up in North Jersey. And it's like, now I'm trying to drive all around and do all this. And yeah, dude, it wasn't fun. I was making money, but I sure as hell wasn't having fun.
Right.
And so I've always been known to do that. Like, when I know I'm done, I'm gone, dude. Some people call it the Irish goodbye. I'm just like, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, I was done. And, yeah, a lot of people faulted me for that, but it's like, I knew I couldn't continue doing what I'm doing. Having 5 boys depending on me, with my greatest complaint as a child, being that my father was a workaholic and never spent time with me. Well, wow, I became him. How does that happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it also hit me one day, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'll take a severe cut in income to reclaim my life. And I didn't quite know how I was going to do it. But, here we are a few years later and everything worked out, man. So
absolutely. And I feel like those are the moments that really make us or break us.
Yeah.
You know, I received a lot of similar flack when I started moving after my crash. I call it my own personal coronavirus of 2018.
Right.
Is what I basically went through. The winter of 2018 was, in a sense, devastating. And I mean, looking at it in the grand scheme of things, it's like for a 23-year-old guy living at home at the time, things were as bad as they could have gotten, which wasn't really that bad.
Right.
You know, there was still food in the fridge. There was still, lights on and electricity and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't a tragedy, but it got me thinking. And from that, I made a lot of decisions, and people hated me for it. And people made fun of me for it or whatever, however they felt about it. And I feel like that was what truly allowed me to be an entrepreneur, because it was like people were relying on me for things. Like you said, I helped you open the Philly office.
Right.
And I reached a point where I was like, people are using me as a crutch for this. It was like, who's running the meeting today? I don't know. Fred, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I need to, if I want to be a real leader, I need to grow other leaders.
But it's funny how that works, dude, because when you, as you mentioned earlier, when you first came to the school for the first time as a guest, we were standing outside, I remember, and you said that, you wanted to become a public speaker. Well, you got your wish, but once you got there, it's not, at least in that capacity, what you wanted to do. And so part of what we do is driven by our own ego, if we're honest, myself as well. I loved being up in front of the room, mic'd up, and, everybody applauds when you walk in. Who wouldn't like that? It's like the God complex. But at the end of the day, is it really bringing that true fulfillment? And for me, the answer was no.
Sure.
I'd literally, I saw a post one time on Instagram. It was pretty cool. And I know we're almost out of time, but basically it said something like, most people are hustling to be seen. I'm working hard to disappear. And that's my new mantra, man.
Yeah. I like that.
To Italy. I'm growing out my beard. Later, everybody. I'm gone,
I'll come up there. You'll be a hippie dancing.
Why not, dude? Grow this out, put a little man bun in, whatever it takes, dude. I don't care, But seriously, I'm really doing that. When I say disappear, I mean, like, I've even taken a big step back from you may or may not have noticed on social media. Like, I just found myself endlessly every free moment, Facebook, scrolling. You're on the toilet, scrolling. Like literally, it became so obsessed, like, with just this platform that didn't even exist in my life 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And even that little change, we're only hopping on strategically to make posts in my groups, do interviews, things of that nature. That's actually been a recent change, which I implemented over the summer, and it's been awesome because now I have more free time. So everything is geared towards that, getting my life back, and that's what I've been doing.
Absolutely. I mean, oh man, we could go on for days here. It's always there's always so much that I love talking with you about, just because I feel like you're so open with the way that you talk to people, but not super harsh with it. But let's kind of wrap up here. What would you say is like your big vision now, the number one thing that you're striving towards that you really want? Like, you got the 7 streams of income, you got a couple of cars, you got basically a lifestyle that a lot of others are aspiring to, but what really means the most to you?
Personally, my relationship with God, and getting back to my faith, my belief, and trying to realize that, you get your life back. Okay, great. And whether that's 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, when I turn 50, okay, now I'm financially so set that I never have to worry about money again. That's the goal for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, maybe if I live to 80, even, I got 30 more years on this planet. Now what? So my shift has been back to my faith, realizing how can I impact people? How can I help them? Not by selling them a course or this or that or the other, but how can I truly impact people's lives? How can I show them? And for me, I think the one thing I'm good at is being an entrepreneur, is starting companies, learning how to network, all the skills that come along with that, time management, et cetera. So being able to share that with people, show, people that there is a better way than that 9 to 5. And I think most people now realize that, but that's kind of become a vision of mine, man. It's not just, it can't be about you. When you reach a certain point in life, you start realizing that you start thinking more, at least me, about and I've heard about this in the past, but I'm just kind of walking into that phase of my life that it's not even about me anymore. It's about the legacy and making sure my children are set up properly and different trusts, which I'm learning about for them. And, so it's about creating that legacy, man. Not only obviously first for my immediate family, but then on a community, and even more on a global scale.
Sure.
What does that look like? I don't know. I think I have a lot to share. I think I have a compelling story, and I think I can relate to a lot of people. Does that mean writing a book one day, doing some speaking myself? I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you, Fred. I don't have that answer, but I'm feeling pulled in a different direction that doesn't have anything to do with money,
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I was actually just being interviewed myself a couple hours ago.
Okay.
I was asked a similar question, and I basically gave a similar answer where I said, for me, the biggest thing is seeing myself give somebody else that paradigm shift.
Yeah.
When I see that click in their brain and I know that I gave that to them,
yeah.
that is what turns me on forever.
Yeah.
That's like sugar. It's just that addictive thing that I can keep going and never end with it. But let me end you with this question. What's next for you, man?
Dude, what's next is just to keep hustling, putting in another 2, 3, 4 years, keep hustling. I'm excited about some of the new projects, the development project in Italy, of course. I'm excited about, working with a close family friend, raising capital for a liquid natural gas LNG project in Chile in South America. Should be visiting there hopefully in the next year. I'm, making some great strides with that.
How do you balance everything? I feel like your streams of income are so diverse.
They are, yeah.
How do you find a way to like
time management, dude? Time management. And so I literally live my life in increments of 15 minutes. So I plan my week, I plan my day, and I know that I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I like to practice the miracle morning where I'm spending certain time, whether it's in prayer or meditation. I then go to the gym. So I come back, I shower, I'm ready to go. And I know starting 8 o'clock, let's say I have a call from 8 to 8:15, another call from 8:15 to 8:30. I got to get on a Zoom at 8:30. That's an hour. That's done at 9:30. And so every 15 minutes is accounted for throughout my day until I decide to call it quits, normally around 5, 6 o'clock at night, where I then start engaging with my children in their MMA classes or the Italian school my sons are going to learn how to read and write, preparing to move there. Or whatever the case may be, or laying on the couch with my wife at night after dinner watching some new Netflix series. You understand?
Yeah.
So balancing your priorities, but when it's work time, it's go time, and being as efficient as I can by just what I call time blocking and time chunking out these little segments. And that's how I know, hey, listen, I can go from this call with you to a real estate call, which is coming up in 24 minutes, to a Zoom with my network marketing company after that, to another call with the energy project. And it's like, because it's already laid out. So I'm not just randomly going throughout my day, oh, what am I going to do now? Who should I call? No, it's very structured. And that's at least how it works well for me, because I don't think I could do it any other way. It would just be mass chaos,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, you are such a cool dude, Brian. I gotta come hang out with you these days.
This is great. I appreciate it, man. I'm honored to have me on after Les Brown. This is awesome. So
Yeah, it was funny because actually a couple of people were like, "Oh, thank God I'm not the week after Les Brown."
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully we delivered some content to people, that are watching this live or on the replay that, maybe, and it's like one of those things. It's always just that one little takeaway. It's that one little nugget that could change somebody's life. And I'll say one other thing. Yeah. If there's one thing, and I get this asked a lot too, as far as my children, specifically the triplets who are going to be 18, what's one thing or secret, you would like to share with them? And I think it applies to anybody, regardless of age. The power and the magic of building your network, meeting as many people as you can across numerous different industries, getting out there, getting known, this guy's in real estate, this guy's a plumber, whatever the case may be, just building that network of just one thing about me is I know 1 million people and 1 million people know me. And I've always worked very hard to preserve my reputation. I never do wrong by people. I treat people good. I don't rob anybody. And I just generally am a positive, uplifting person.
Yes.
And so because of that, I've been able to reach back into that network when I need something, or, okay, I'm doing a real estate deal. I need this or this, whatever the case may be. The size of, and I know it's cliche and it sounds corny, but your network truly does determine your net worth. And I don't think people truly understand the power of that phrase, but starting even now, whether you're watching this, you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and really getting that network built, because you don't know when you're going to need it. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me throughout life. And I would just leave that as kind of a parting thought for people.
Absolutely. I have to follow up with that just because a lot of people have asked me, how the heck did you get Les Brown on your show last week? And I tell them two things. It was a little bit of money, real small amount of money. but a lot of connections.
Yeah.
And it was connections that I built 4 or 5 years ago
Right.
that led me to here. You know, I believe my connection to you led me to here.
Yeah.
And it's constantly climbing that ladder. And
Yeah.
I think that one thing I would add to what you said is not just building your network, but properly leveraging your network, I think, is what a lot of people miss out on. So I'm working with a coach right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about how can I go from 2,500 friends on Facebook to 5,000, or how can I go from 100 subscribers on YouTube to 500. We're talking about how can I better communicate with the people that are already in my network.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I started this show. You know, like you said, I'm bringing on power players. I'm bringing on superstars, people that are moving and shaking and really have created that alignment. They're making money and they're having fun, which is the reason why you're on here, the reason why I'm bringing Les Brown on. And I mean, I'm working to get Tony Robbins on this show.
And you will, man. Listen, what you just said, and you know, this is kind of my final thought. It's providing value to your network. And I'm very glad you brought that up, because it doesn't matter how many followers you have on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It's how many people are you engaging with, you know? And I remember before I even created my course on short sales, and I started the YouTube documentary series, if you will, where I did 120 days of video.
Right.
And people were reaching out to me and they wanted help. I don't know who these people are, but I helped them. And I gave them copies of my paperwork and I helped them through a deal. I didn't want anything in return, but providing value, you know? And now with the, you know, level of success that I've achieved in my life, because I'm blessed, whenever I get a chance to help anybody and they're like, can you help me with this? Or can you come on this podcast or this, you know, show and just share? Because I was the guy on the other side of the camera, a young kid starting at 18 years old before YouTube even existed, right? Listening to cassette tapes, trying to learn from people who were in life where I wanted to be. And now I have the ability to give that back. I'm going to do it every chance I can, you know?
Absolutely. I love that. Brian, this was awesome. How can people get in touch with you, Brian?
You know what, man? I think I'm redoing the website. I don't have one for the virtual entrepreneur yet. The best thing, honestly, is email. I'd say email, man. bmeara@gmail.com. That's my personal email. So if anybody needs anything, questions, and I can help in any way, it's my first initial last name. Oh, you can put it up there. That's right, StreamYard.
Yeah. Check this out. Wait
for
for
it.
it.
Away from Zoom and start using this thing, man. This is pretty cool. StreamYard.
Yeah, this is absolutely sick. I think I got this right. bmeara@gmail.com.
Let's see it pop up. That's awesome.
Boom. Look at that.
I got to get this. This is awesome. It's safe to say it's better than Zoom.
It's easier than Zoom, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, you can brand it, put the logos everywhere. This is multi-stream, so it's
very professional, and I like how it's side by side, like Zoom. It just shows the person talking. This is good.
Yeah. And I can actually change you. I can move you around there. I can put you here. I can make you small.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
This is awesome.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Brian. This was awesome.
You got it.
Let's go. See you guys.
Thanks, Fred.